Hello everyone, welcome to Online Sunday School. Today is a very exciting day in the life of the church. It's a big day for church. Today is Pentecost. We're going to read about Pentecost in our Bible storybook so we can find out what all the excitement about Pentecost is about. And it's from the book of Acts. Let's read it. All right, before we read our story, let's look at these awesome pictures so we can see there looks like something going on here. Lots of wind or something, and people look happy or emotional. Bunch of children playing. What's going on? What are these above their heads? Let's find out. It's from Acts chapter 2, verses 1 through 41. The disciples were waiting in a house. Suddenly, a sound like wind filled the entire house. The disciples looked around and saw little flames of fire on each of them. It was the Holy Spirit, God's Spirit that would be with them always. The disciples began to speak other languages. They were all surprised. Some asked each other, "What does this mean?" People outside the house heard the noises. "What is happening?" the people wondered. Peter told the people, "God has sent the Holy Spirit to us. That is what you have heard." The people listened to Peter. He told them about Jesus. Peter helped the people to believe in Jesus and told them to be baptized. "The Holy Spirit will be given to you," Peter told the people. The people believed and were baptized. Wow! Had you heard this Pentecost story before? It's so amazing, isn't it? The disciples were all waiting in a house, and then suddenly a sound like wind came and filled the whole house, and then there were flames of fire above everyone's head, and the disciples, especially Peter, realized it was the Holy Spirit. Wow. So remember when after Jesus' resurrection, before Jesus went back up to heaven to be with God, Jesus said, "I'll be with you always, and I'm going to send someone to be with you." And that was the Holy Spirit. And just like Peter said in our Bible story, the Holy Spirit will be with the people who received it at that time in the book of Acts. But also, that's the Holy Spirit is what comes to us. We also can have the Holy Spirit with us, available to us at any time, and it's just another example of how God is always with us, God's Spirit. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Pentecost is just such an exciting day that we remember every year around this time because we remember how God sent the Holy Spirit to be with us, and it's just a reminder of how God's Spirit is always with us. God's Spirit never leaves us, and that is super awesome and cool, isn't it? God really cares a lot about us to make sure that we're never, ever alone. Okay. We have a wonder question this week from our Bible storybook. The question is, I wonder, how did the disciples feel when the Holy Spirit arrived? How do you think they felt? Take a moment and think about that to yourself, or talk about it with someone who lives with you. How would you have felt if the Holy Spirit showed up like this? Because Pentecost is such an extra exciting day in the life of the church, we have an extra exciting craft. One of my favorite crafts to do. I think some of y'all might have done this last year. So you will need a piece of paper. It can be any color. It can be any type of paper. I just have white printer paper, but you can choose any color you want. And we will need some yarn or string, whatever you have. And then some either tissue paper in a few colors, or if you have any streamers, like party streamers, that would be good. And then some colors to color with. This can be optional if you pick a colored paper and you don't want to color on it, but I'm going to color on mine. A whole bunch, some scissors, and some tape. So quite the big list, but it's to make this really cool craft. So if you have a choice while picking all your paper and string and tissue paper, you can use whatever color you have on hand, but if you can choose to use any color, Pentecost colors are usually the colors of fire. So reds and yellows and oranges will make this craft look very Pentecosty. But if you don't have any of those colors on hand, that's totally fine. Anything will work because the point of the craft will remind us of Pentecost anyway, no matter what color it is, okay? Okay, so we're gonna start off with our white piece of paper, and what we need to do before we start on anything else is to color it. So if you already have a colored piece of paper, you may want to skip this part, or you can color on that paper too. But my paper is white, and so I'm just gonna add a little bit of color to it. So if you also want to add color, now's the time. All right, mine is all colored up. Ooh, I just made it look like fire colors, so I used oranges and reds. The next part you want to do is take your paper and you're gonna make it into a little cylinder shape, form it into a circle, and then tape it up. You don't need too much overlap on the edges, but you do want it to be kind of a big circle. So get it how you want it, and then tape it up. Make sure it's good and stuck on because we're gonna need it to be pretty stuck for what we're gonna do with it. So I have 3 pieces of tape. You may need a few more, or you may be good with even fewer than this. So tape it up, and then we'll do the next part. Okay. Next, take your tissue paper or streamers, whatever you have, and you're going to get, so if you have streamers, this will be really easy because you just need some strips of your streamer or tissue paper. If you have tissue paper, you'll have to do like me and cut out some strips. So I'm gonna make just a few little strips, maybe like 1 inch wide. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm gonna cut this strip about 1 inch wide, and then I'll probably cut it in half. And I'm gonna do it for my yellow paper and my red paper that I have. If you have different colors or more, if you have orange, you can throw that in there. So I'm gonna do that, 2 strips that I'm gonna cut in half, and then I may do a couple more, we'll see. So cut out some strips, or if you have some crepe paper or streamers, pull out a length of them, maybe like 1 foot long or so, or a little less than 1 foot, and you're gonna tape them on the inside of your shape, okay? If that sounds confusing, it's okay. We'll all catch up in a minute. So go ahead and get your strips ready. All right, I have my paper strips ready. Do you have yours? I did 4 of each color. I had red and yellow, and I think that'll be enough. So about 8 strips, I think will do it. And take your cylinder shape, your piece of paper you've taped up, and we're gonna tape these strips to the inside of our cylinder. So my strips are all different sizes and lengths, so I wasn't very precise. It's still gonna look really cool in our shape. So you're gonna put it in there, see it? And then you're gonna tape the ends so it stays put. And you're gonna do that all the way around your cylinder shape. So you can alternate colors or just do all one color if that's what you have, but see how they're kind of hanging down? So do it all the way around, and if you don't use up all your pieces, I probably won't use up all mine. That's okay. Just do it until it's full, okay? Okay, so you see we have our little streamer tails on our cylinder shape now. I ended up just using 6 pieces on mine. You may have used more or less, but as long as it just looks real wavy and fun, then you'll know you have enough. All right, the last part of our craft is we want to put our hole punch. And hole punch on opposite ends. You don't have to go down into the paper very far. Let me see if I can show it. So you don't have to go like all the way in with your hole punch. Just go a little bit in, and we're just going to tie some string on the ends. That's all you need for the hole punch part. So I have one on this side, so I need to do one on the opposite side. Line it up. It doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as it's close. All right, so you have my hole punches on opposite ends. You can kind of see them. Next, take your yarn and get maybe like 10 inches, 12 inches, a foot, and cut yourself a length of yarn. Will that be long enough? Yes. And then you're going to thread it through each end of your hole punch and tie a knot. And you can't tie the knot too tight or your paper will bend and tear. So just tie a loose knot. Whoop. You can double knot it so it's extra secure through the end. And then you can hold it up like this. And so this is why this craft is so awesome for Pentecost. I'm going to show you what it does. Okay, this is called a wind sock. So what you can do is you can either run around with it and wave it, and it catches the wind, and the wind goes through the tunnel, and then it flutters through the little streamer tail that we created, and it is so beautiful and fun. So you can run through the house with it and wave it and listen to the wind, or if it's really windy outside, you can go stand outside and run with it outside, or you can hold it up, and sometimes the wind will catch it and make it flutter like that. And this craft is so cool for Pentecost because why do you think? Why do you think this is a good Pentecost craft? What does Pentecost have to do with wind? Do you remember? Our Bible story said that when the Holy Spirit came to the disciples, it made a sound like wind, and then there was fire above everyone's heads, and the fire was representing the Holy Spirit that God sent to be with everyone. So our craft is fire colored. It reminds us of the fire of Pentecost, and it's a wind sock, and it reminds us of the wind that was the noise, that was what happened when the Holy Spirit came to the disciples. And it reminds us that the Holy Spirit is still with us today. So after you finish this lovely craft, and then maybe after you take some turns with it around the house or outside or something, go find someone who lives with you and tell them about your windsock craft and about why we made this craft on Pentecost and what it means. And then every time that you play with it, you can remember how God sent the disciples, the Holy Spirit, and that includes us too. God's Holy Spirit is always with us, just like the wind. Okay, y'all, that was our awesome, fun Pentecost craft. I hope that you really loved it. I super love it. I love wind socks. They're so fun. They're fun to make, and then they're really interactive, and you can use them for a long time. They're great. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have an amazing Pentecost Sunday, and just take some time and reflect about how the Holy Spirit is with us, and how amazing that is, and how amazing God is. Okay, I have a couple quick announcements for y'all. The first announcement is in 2 weeks, on June 6th, we are going to start back with 2 worship services and in-person Sunday school. Yay. So there will be a traditional service, a contemporary service, and then Sunday school in the middle. And I believe the times are service at 9, Sunday school at 10, and then another service at 11. And you can check that info, double check me on the Facebook page and the website of the church. But that will be happening June 6th, and you can finally come back and be in person for Sunday school, and that will be awesome. And if your family is not yet comfortable coming back to in-person worship. We'll still have something online, kind of like we've been doing. So you'll still be able to worship with us virtually if you wish. The second part of this announcement is next week is my last Sunday as the children's director at Aldersgate. So I'm going to be doing some other things, and I won't be able to do Sunday school anymore or be your children's director, but there are going to be some awesome people who are going to step in and be teaching your lessons and be hanging out with y'all. And eventually we're going to get y'all a new children's director. It hasn't happened yet, but there are so many people at Aldersgate who love you guys so much and who are going to be there for you. And a lot of fun stuff is coming up. So that is exciting. It does mean that we won't have any more online Sunday school after next week. So I'll be here next week with one last online Sunday school with y'all. And then after that, starting June 6th, there will be in-person Sunday school offered. So whenever y'all are ready to come back to the in-person worship, maybe you are ready already, and you'll be there and they'll see you. And if you're not, that's okay. And you can just wait until your family is comfortable, and then y'all can come to Sunday school then. But I wanted to let you know in advance of last week that last week is going to be my last week. It's wild, but it'll be good, and y'all are going to have a really great summer, okay? So again, I'm going to see y'all one last time for virtual Sunday school next week. We'll be back with our lessons, and we're going to talk about, let me get all the tissue paper out of the way. We're going to be talking about love in action, and I think that is our last. Let me check. Oh, next Sunday is from the book of Romans. And then after that, Sunday school, in-person Sunday school, y'all are going to be working through some of the Old Testament stories. And that is going to be a lot of fun. I love going through the Old Testament. But next week, it'll be Love in Action, the book of Romans. And I'm looking forward to seeing you there, okay? I love you guys so much, and I will see you next week, okay? Bye.